I live shallow, but I think deep. Okay? That's why you get like this. People will naturally reveal who they are to you, and it's up to you to trust your instinct enough to know if that is for you or against you. Social media sketch artists, if you want to sound fancy about it, you're kind of a loser in my opinion, but but whatever, yo, who cares? I'm a loser for my opinion too. My writing style has really finally caught up, I think, to how I overall act and perform on stage. The reason I got away from doing the set list order thing, I don't want to go up on stage and go, I'm reading a script. Jealousy is not the energy. It's not the play. Like, if you have jealous energy out there, take that energy and be better. Not even better than that person, better than the version of you that thinks you need to be better than another person. Is it important for comedians to address social issues as part of their material?
Hey yo, it's Black Zeus, the podcast season 5. Welcome to the show where we talk about life. Talk about the come up and sometimes we fight. But in the end it ain't a thing cause we ain't trying to be right. We're just old new niggas with another podcast.
A podcast! It's season 5, episode 42. It's just solo dolo this week. It's me in the stew, but that's okay with you though, cause you're a fan of me, right? You mother effing right. Don't turn the channel. Don't change the channel. You know how hard it is to be a comedian?
This is Black Zeus, the podcast season 5.
You're about to hear. I want to do that again. I don't like it. I don't like that intro. I already did one. And you know what? For the sake of authenticity, I'm keeping it in. The freestyle was okay, but it ended like garbage. I don't feel like. I know. Okay? If you look at the freestyles from the beginning of the season to the ones the last like few, the last 10 episodes or so, you could tell. The freestyles, maybe not my main priority anymore. What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Black Zeus, the podcast, season 5, episode 42. We made it 42 whole weeks through the year. Actually, a little bit more, I think, because the podcast didn't start right at the beginning of the year like normal. So we'll see how we trail out. It's been a good time though, right? Look at all the growth. So many more beautiful people are here on the channel now than were when we started at the beginning of the year. We started at like 100 plus, and now we're over 100, over 700. I'm too sober, which I'm about to change. Don't worry. But yeah, we are at over 700 beautiful people, over 723, I think now, to be exact. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. You are the beautiful people of this podcast. And I have a specific favor to ask of y'all. Don't worry, no money, no none of that. I want, like, right now, I'm at a very specific time in my career. You guys have been hearing me talk about it. There's these plateau moments where you either stay stagnant or you skyrocket to another level. And me being me, I have refused every time I hit a plateau to stay stagnant. And right now, this momentum that Dante, myself, and my team have really accumulated up to this point is starting to show in the metrics. We're not metric people. This isn't the turn of Zeus where all of a sudden I'm like, and look at my follower count, everybody. But we're not idiots, right? Like, we obviously see, we continue to go down this authentic path of showing you guys what it is to be a comedian on the come up this day and age, and being honest about that, and just fine tuning how it is we present all of that. And I feel like the channel has really taken shape now. I feel like even my social media presence has really taken shape. I purged my social media presence, which I said I would do the last few episodes, but essentially I took everything from my Instagram and archived it, and I really only want to showcase what I want to showcase. I'll bring out some posts from the archive every once in a while, but to me, I don't really care about any of that. Those are my memories, and I'll share, I like creating new stuff, and I don't want to put a focus on all the old stuff. Is that weird? I don't even think people really care, right? We're using these things as scrolling platforms. Think of my my platform now as akin to something like how Kanye West uses IG. Not using it how I'm just saying, I'm not out there spewing hate or, maybe not hate. Depends on how you look at things. Oh God, Dante, please come back quick because I might get us canceled. Okay. All I'm saying is, I'm just gonna showcase the newest stuff, the most I think important stuff, the most relevant stuff to me and to the image, you know, to the mission statement of being a comedy channel run by comedians for real comedy fans. And to get back to my request to all the beautiful people of this channel, of this podcast, of my comedy career up until this point, I request that this week you just drop a comment. Let me know who you are so that I can take a visual and mental snapshot of who has really been here before things, let's say, take off, for lack of a better phrase. Because again, we're not over here focused on trying to be famous, or we're not focused on gaining clout, but I'm not naive to think that, hey, I still want to build an audience. It's just I think we've hit the nail on the head. We've really honed in on how we want to present, what we want to present, and we're doing that, and it's showing. So yeah, thank you to all the beautiful people that have helped us get to this place. Thank you to all the people that have been listening to me rant. And like I said, man, this is a place for me to be honest. You know, I don't want to do the regular podcast where we come up here and we talk about the trending topics and friggin' celebrity news and woke whatever and politics, unless it actually makes sense. I'm a comedian, nigga. This is what I present well, but I've also learned, I'm a very philosophical dude. I'm a very introspective type person. I'm a deep thinker, but I'm also like a shallow liver. Does that make sense? I live shallow, but I think deep. Okay? That's why you get like this. That's why you get, what the hell is all that, nigga? What is that? I know what it is. It's me, dog. And now I finally, you know, figured out how to package it for people to digest, because this doesn't really translate the best. And just to calm myself a little bit down, again, Dante is not in the studio this week. He's off doing great things in the States. So we salute our brother Dante, and we look forward to him getting back safely. I'm very excited. Very excited. Everything lines up this week. Got a great next week in store for the podcast, for the channel, and just for all that good stuff. Yeah, have you guys checked out Black Zeus, the show? Please do if you haven't already. It is on the channel. Thankfully, it's performing. I'm very grateful for all the people that have already checked it out. As Black Zeus, the podcast is essentially, it started out as an audio companion to my comedy career. The studio is going to get a little smoky. Sorry, Grandma. But yeah, it started out as an audio thing, but obviously it moved into a video thing. But I still never really considered this a full, in-depth, like, guide or behind the scenes of my comedy career. You know, it's been a place for me to debrief or decompress or rant or whatever, you know, just once a week. We do the comedy recaps. So there's actually documentation over 5 years, week to week, of shows done, shows not done. Mostly good experiences, thankfully, some bombs. And then like the progression, like to see where I am now compared to where I was just 5 years ago when we started the podcast, compared to where I was 13 years ago, almost 14 now when I started my comedy career. Like, whatever you're doing in life, just lock in, believe in yourself, and get there. Like, I promise you, it will eventually happen if you have the right intentions behind it, the right energy behind it, and you surround yourself with the right people, not yes men, but honest, real, genuine people that are aligned with you. You know what I mean? This weird hand gesture for me to make. Make of that what you will. But people that are aligned with you mentally, you know, and creatively. It makes no sense. Trust your instincts, I think. A big lesson for me this year has just been to really trust not just my instincts, but also the life experiences that I've lived. I've lived such a life, and we all have. I've lived such a life that if you were to write it down on paper and I were to give it to somebody else as a book, they would think I just handed them some like Harry Potter novel. Like, what is all this supernatural shit that you put in there? That can't possibly be real. Go F yourself. And then, over time, you remove yourself further and further from the actual situation that happened to you in your life. And then you fall victim to whatever this world, whatever boxes this world puts you in. That's what it feels like. And eventually you start to either not remember or misremember and change your own history. And I've done that enough to conform. I'm like, yeah, you know what? There's no way this actually happened to me, even though it legit happened to me. And I have physical, like vivid memories, like sense memories, smell, touch of all these things happening that might be supernatural, depending on how you look at life, or metaphysical, if you want to get scientific about things. And I'm just done denying those experiences to myself. I went further into studying my history, studying my ancestry, studying my heritage, and it's only brought me closer to me and closer to what I think I'm actually here to do. And comedy is very clearly a part of all of that. I'm here doing comedy, so it must mean something. This studio is going to get smoky. I might have to stop this thing. I'm trying not to bait myself out. We'll see how Mr. Algorithm picks it up. But yeah, another thing I also really just fell back on is really like, you don't need that many people around you, man. You got to lock in with the absolute right people. And that doesn't mean that you shut out everybody, but I think there's layers to things. And the older you get, the smaller your circle should be, and the greater the level of security access needed to get into the smaller and smaller circles. So if you're out in the field, you know what I mean? You don't even need security access for that. That's when I'm out in the field. But for me to bring you into like some real stuff that I'm doing, some real conversations, or there's got to be a interview process there, and then you got to essentially prove yourself out. That's how life is. Like you can, and I'm firmly a believer of a leopard cannot change its spots, man. Firmly a believer. You got to trust people's nature. Does that make sense? People will naturally reveal who they are to you, and it's up to you to trust your instinct enough to know if that is for you or against you. And there's a lot of people that are perpetrators, nigga. There's a lot of people that will pretend to be for you or might actually not even be pretending. But the real thing of it all is, are they really for you? That's something only you can figure out. So even though they might not be against you, that doesn't necessarily mean they're for you automatically. And that's been a thing. Like I've had like just a weird random experience, but I've been reflecting on this one experience recently where I've had somebody apologize to me. One person has apologized to me over a course of years for something they did to me years ago. And eventually, the last apology they did, which was like maybe a year and a half ago, about the same situation, which obviously means they have lingering thoughts or guilt or whatever it is. I don't want to automatically project what I think is happening, but that's what it appeared to be. Because you don't apologize to someone after they said it's okay multiple times for years if you don't think that there's some lingering negative energy or whatever, But the last time this person apologized to me about the thing they did, they ended it. And I can distinctly remember even just standing there having this conversation. And then I'm like, yo, I promise you it's dead. Like there's no lingering, nothing about that. So feel good about it. You know what I mean? And then it ended properly, but the person said, okay, because I am really sorry. And then they ended it by saying, but I'm still a dirtbag though, or something to that extent. But I'm still, how do you apologize for years and then end it by saying, but I'm still a dirtbag though? Like, how do you kind of leave it? Whether it's a joke or not, I think that's that kind of thing subconsciously comes to the surface. And that's what I mean by a leopard cannot change its spots. You know how hard it is to actually change, bro, for the better? Like, you see it actively on this podcast. These rants and these rambles and these week to week, bro, I'm done with this social media thing, or I got to figure it out. And then me and Dante have these back and forths and all that stuff. Like, I cannot betray who I am at my core just for the sake of a career, you know? And that's that honestly, thank God I love the challenge of that. Thank God I'm not looking at social media like a dinosaur comedian and being like, oh, I'm not gonna do it at all. I've been trying to figure out how I fit in it. And you know, it's funny. You kind of got to see the forest through the trees. You got to find a balance. And it took all those conversations and those internal dialogues and those external battles with Dante in the studio and conversations with comedians and doing shows with absolute gems of human beings, like my friend and brother Abbas Wahab, who I will talk about shortly in this week's comedy recap. It's so much. It's so much for a person to actually take the time to figure out and assess honestly without, like, how do I phrase this? Because we're all our own worst enemies, right? So the whole thing is not to be overly critical of yourself, but you have to be honest with yourself to the point where you can get to the core of issues and address that. Like, I went through that whole phase of the comedy villain thing because I thought that that's how I needed to present myself online to get the messages that I wanted to get across. But like, I'm not a preacher either, so I never wanted to just be out here trying to spread messages. So that felt weird. And then people started to misunderstand or misinterpret what the whole idea or vision behind the stand-up comedy villain persona was. So I'm like, this isn't even what I'm trying to present myself as. And then, you know, eventually you get to that matrix point where you're talking to the kid with the spoon. And then it's like, and then you come to the realization that you cannot bend the spoon. There is no spoon, bro. Stop trying. Release. And in releasing, you essentially drop all the pieces and you can see how things settle. And you can, at least for me, I can sense the vibratory rate of the things as they settle, and what is vibing with me, I just pick back up. And now I feel like, I don't know, like I think I described this on the episode while I was talking to Dante, but maybe I didn't. But recently I've just been feeling like, if you ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, nerd. But there's a very pivotal episode where essentially Aang, who's the Avatar, is going through the lessons from this Indian guru, or this guru who's teaching him how to unlock all his chakras. And then eventually they get to the root chakra, which is your crown. And that's like your God mind or your godhood and all that stuff. You know, what your absolute best self, essentially, connected to the absolute best of you and all of your lineage and tapping into the absolute peak of your DNA. All this, you know, hoopla stuff. And I've been feeling like the best way I can visually describe it is how that state, I have been feeling like I have fully connected with my best self, my highest self. And I can almost see every scenario, every situation, and not even just scenario and situation, but like people, places, things, attitudes, you know, like the places where I feel like I can progress, where I'm regressing, or where I've actually, you know, been pretty good. All like literally everything. I feel like I can see it all at an arm's length, and I can bring into focus things that I need to bring into focus at moments that I need to do that to get myself to where I know I can be. Like, I know this sounds crazy, right? This sounds like this is a comedy podcast, but this is me as a comedian, bruh. And I can't express enough. You guys will continue to see with the show, with Black Zeus the show. Make sure you go watch that on the channel, because you will actually see I'm not talking out my ass. Like, we are creating amazing experiences with random strangers wherever we go. Just did it in America, so we're starting to prove it out. Like, we're going worldwide with it. This energy that we carry, the uniqueness that we bring to the stage is unmatched. Okay? You can say it's ego, you can say it's whatever, but you got to believe that in yourself. And at least I've been backing it. I'm not out here saying this and then not showing you anything. Take a look at the channel. We're displaying it full force. And when I bomb, you better believe I'll put that on tape too, because that's what this whole thing is about. That's why I believe I get better and better and better, because I'm not focused on, like, bro, every day you should be better than you were yesterday. And if you're not in that mindset, then where are you in life? Because if you're still alive, bro, every day is an opportunity to do something better for yourself or for the people around you, or literally for anything. Tap into your nature. And here's the messed up part. Here's the absolute messed up part. This is where people get it all twisted. You know, especially when you start to get religion involved and all this stuff. Like, how could God exist when babies are dying and da 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 da? I'm like, bro, you put that on a deity as opposed to the human being behind the button press that sends the bomb out to the place to kill the baby. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has free will to act according to their nature, and this is the part that messes people up. You look at the yin and the yin yang. There's light and dark, and there's a little bit of light in the dark, and there's a little bit of dark in the light. That is life. That is nature. Some people are actually on this earth, as messed up as it sounds, to do bad things. They're not good people, and that's just what it is. It's the yin and yang of life. So if you get into who you are, and unfortunately, some of y'all might actually like legit be negative people, and that's what it is. Like, bro, what are we doing here, bro? You waiting for a Jesus dude to come back instead of just actually like looking at the teachings of all these Jesus, Krishna, Buddha. All these guys are telling you to be the guy, be the energy. Be the change you want to see in the world. All these hokey, get out of here, bro. I'm surrounded by weirdos, bro. I'm surrounded by people that are in it for clout. That's why I get so riled up when I talk about comedy and stuff, because people really consider themselves comedians now that have nothing to do with comedy. Okay, they might release a sketch. Okay, they might have gotten on stage, but it's like at the core of what comedy is, it's connecting with people on a level of humor, but when you really understand like the breadth and the depth of that, you know, I'm not sitting here saying sketch comedy isn't comedy. I'm just saying the social media has completely warped not just the perception of what people accept and interpret comedy to be, but what artists are now thinking they need to do to be a comedian. It's like, most of them are focused on nothing that has to do with actual comedy. That's why we need to like differentiate these things. You know what I mean? You're a social media sketch artist. If you want to sound fancy about it, you're kind of a loser in my opinion, but but whatever, yo, who cares? I'm a loser for my opinion too. Isn't that beautiful? You know? Like, I don't know. That's enough. That's enough of the opening rants. When Dante isn't here, that's what you get, baby. That's what you get, baby. But you know what this podcast is. It's a companion piece to my comedy career. So let me get into this week's comedy recap. Ladies and gentlemen, I have had some great shows. I should promote some shows, actually. I have... Where did I put my phone? Holy balala, holy halabaloo. I got my nice autumn shirt on. You guys see this? You guys see this floral pattern on the shirt, bruh? You guys see this? This is also a good Christmas shirt because you got, I think that's holly? I don't know. But yeah, let me promote some shows. I got some good stuff coming up for the end of November, all right? So the 15th and the 16th of November, I am at Yuck Yucks in Burlington. On the 17th, I'm at the Corner Comedy Club in Toronto at 8 p.m. On the 22nd, I'm in Tilsonburg with Different Nights. On the 24th, I'm returning to Nubian Show. My favorite show in the country. Let's be serious here. It's Canada's only, the closest thing we have to a Def Comedy Jam. It is the most lit night of the year, or at least a lit show. I said it wrong. It's the most lit show of the month every month. Let's just say it that way. Ran by the OG, the legendary Kenny Robinson. It's Kenny Robinson's Nubian Disciples of Richard Pryor. I believe I said that right. That's the 24th of November, downtown Yuck Yucks in Toronto. And then on the 30th of November, Mr. Kennedy. That's... Why would I bring in like a 2008 wrestling reference out of nowhere? On the 30th of November, I am doing a live taping at the Corner Comedy Club, downtown Toronto, 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Baby. Yeah, I will have my brothers, Kirby Darius and Jeremy Dobsky. I'll have my boys doing some time on the show, hosting it, and setting me up to come on stage. That was a crazy series of words. I take all that back. I will have my friends doing comedy, and they will be bringing me up on stage to also be doing comedy that night, but I will be recording my comedy. How about that? Way less suspect saying it that way. The 30th of November, you can get your tickets right now for that at the Corner Comedy Club's website, thecornercomedyclub.com. Yeah, I'm super excited for that. I'll promote the December shows in December, but we got some good stuff lining up for that too. Yeah, let's get into this week's comedy recap. I'll pretty much just be talking about running shows last night with my brother, Abbas Wahab. Random Saturday off. I actually had a show cancel, so I was planning to just edit and chill on the Saturday, and then boom, this is how the universe works, baby. My brother Abbas hits me up, represented right here on the wall with his first ever America tour poster. But he's on a different tour right now, the Big Mike Energy Tour. Shout outs to my boy, man. This guy's such a hustler, always working, always on the road, and really starting, like, it's fun, bro. You see people start to make a splash, you know? And then all of a sudden you see the splash turn into a wave, and then you see the waves turn into more waves, and then you see the wave turn into a freaking tsunami, bro. And he's like on the cusp of tsunami. It's been so fun to watch this dude progress over the years. I gotta give my flowers to my brother Abbas Wahab. Salutes to you. Thank you for including me in everything you do. It's always a pleasure. And I always end up leaving just inspired. And he's one of those people, bro, that I can literally say, in this comedy game, you don't get that many people you can say are your brother or sister like that. And that's 100% extended family. Finally got to meet his little son, my nephew. Yeah, shout outs to his wife and his little family that he's built, bro. The absolute dream. A Sudanese boy that came to Canada and had to flipping go through whatever happens in London, Ontario. I dealt with that also. It's so weird. Both of us grew up in London, Ontario, which is super racist Hicksville, especially in the 90s. I'm a little older than him, so that's probably why we didn't cross paths. But he literally lived in the same complex as Hendog. Henny Beats, who made the music for the show, who's literally my oldest friend. He lived in the exact same complex as him. We never met until we started doing comedy like 8-10 years ago, something like this. But yeah, it's just been a blast. We did his Hamilton show in Hamilton, Ontario. We did a 7:30 show and a 10 o'clock show, or 9:30 show, I believe it was 9:30. Fire. Yeah, he packs out his audiences. He really, and this is how I know we're actually like really like good in communication as homies, because all these true feelings and thoughts that I spew about how I feel about social media and being a comedian in this day and age, like Abbas is the complete opposite of that. He has completely leaned into this and he has made it his bitch. And it's really paying off for him and working. And I couldn't be more proud. See, this is the thing. Have your opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let your opinion have you. Just because I feel a type of way about social media does not mean I don't want my fam, my compadres in comedy to succeed in whatever way they think they can. My opinion shouldn't hurt your feelings to that level. They're just my opinions. I still want you to win. I still want you to get it however you can, but don't be mad at me if you start doing weird, shady crap, and that's what I like to call out. I don't like shady. I can't stand what mostly show business is. And guess what? Like I was saying earlier, most of these niggas is in it for clout. And when you're in it for clout, you tend to do weird, goofy things. You tend to, as soon as you get a platform, friggin' want to start all of a sudden pushing stupid friggin' crap on your audience because, hey, now audience, like companies are like, hey, can you push this burger on everybody? Hey, everybody should be eating A&W. Now you got people that follow you. Isn't this what you wanted? Money, right? Like, we all want money. And I don't know. I don't think I ever would have wanted that way. I feel like in every version of what show business is, pre-internet, post-internet, whatever, when it was trying to get a TV deal, all that stuff, like there's enough blueprints out there that exist that let me know I would have been existing this exact same way in every version of show business, or every iteration, or every generation, I should say, because like every 10 years the technology changes and how you present yourself and how you get seen by public, it all shifts, right? Like, if anything, realistically, I'm in the best time for myself because now I get to go directly to the people with it. Like, this type of messaging, the way I speak is not really corporate friendly. That's why you don't really see me submit or see me on many corporate things, corporate festivals. I'm not, like, my mouth, bruh. It doesn't align with that. I speak too much. I speak from the heart. I shoot from the hip. But yeah, did these shows with the boss Wahab at the Staircase Theater where I started comedy, so that was always nice. I'm gonna keep it out for a second. And it was just, I don't know. I went into a free flow yesterday. The shows were yesterday as of this recording, but I really went into some weird like trance state. Because if you've been paying attention to the podcast the last few weeks, like me and Dante have been talking about, like, or me specifically, how I got out of the going up on, like, the habit of going up on stage with a pure set list. I'm like, oh, these are the jokes that I'm going to do in this order. And then just kind of started going on stage knowing that I have the jokes that I want to work on plus my heavy hitters all just in a bag, and I just like take them out of the bag as needed. But then recently I'm like, I don't want to lose the ability to go up on stage and go off a set list, which I kind of had difficulty doing the last time I tried to do it. So I've been like mixing how I go up on stage. And then I had this almost epiphany moment where I'm like, oh, these are all evolutionary steps. Like, I absolutely am doing the right thing for me because it's what's working for me. And I continue to hone what works for me. Like, the set list thing worked for me to a point. I just got to make sure that there's times where I'll need to do like, hey, you only got this many minutes. So like, it's got to be tight. And at that point, you kind of got to have an order of things. But I think I've really developed a writing style that is so complementary to my stage performance and my actual, like, my overall style. My writing style has really finally caught up, I think, to how I overall act and perform on stage. And they have completely just blended in some weird, orgasmic, psychedelic friggin'. Can you tell I'm thinking about psychedelics recently? I mean, look at my shirt. And right now, as of this recording, it's 33 minutes and 33 seconds. Can you tell I'm thinking about psychedelics? All right. So I went to these shows like in a in-between state of, okay, I don't necessarily want to do the set listing tonight, but I know I kind of got to keep that in my back pocket. So maybe like plan out the order of 2 jokes. But I don't know, man. I feel like I much prefer what I'm doing now because the way I tell jokes on stage now versus even just a year ago, man, even just like 6 months ago, I feel like I'm much more presently aware. The reason I got away from doing the set list order thing, at least how I reflected on it, is because it's rigid, and I don't like rigid. I don't like that. I don't want to go up on stage and I'm reading a script, and like, even if the audience does it, because I got like, as every comic does this, right? And they get very good. I got very good at making you not aware that I'm going off a set list. Like, how would you know if I'm working on my transitions and making sure all that's airtight and, all that stuff? But I know. And again, I'm artsy fartsy about comedy. So like, I like to challenge myself when it comes to these things. I'm like, how can I be better? And what's made me absolutely better, and I need to go further down this road, and I tried this at a boss's show, is I need to get to the point where I'm like, let me backtrack a little bit here. I work better when I play off of the energy in the room, when I pay attention to the host, or at least study the room if I am hosting before, like talk to some of the people or something, like get a feel for the energy in the room. Like I can go from that. And I like going off of that much better than me showing up to the club already with a set list in mind. And then I'm kind of like, that's too rigid for me, bro. Like I much prefer having that authentic, and that's why I have such authentic experiences and connections. Like the amount of people, and now it's so funny because Dante's literally been filming like people's coming up to us after shows and be like, yo, your energy, your presence, your smile, you're this, you're that. When you do this, like the whole room lights up. Like that is when you are present and aware and mindful of that. That is the friggin' payoff. That's what I'm in this for. That connection, that actual like genuine connection, man. I'm not up here trying to like run one past an audience. I'm like, yo, these are my jokes and I know they work in this order. Bro, if I tank, let's tank and let's see if I can get out of there together, because at a certain level, I build trust with my audience. They almost immediately know now because I've worked on this. They have an immediate trust and comfort of my ability on stage because I proved to them within a minute, bruh, just let me guide you by the hand and don't even worry. And this will be good. And if someone wants to act out or whatever, we'll deal with it together. Like you literally got to bring everybody into the experience, man. And that all starts with being part of the experience, not trying to friggin' bring people to your friggin' thing. At least in my opinion, and this is what's worked for me the best. And what I need to get better at and what I'm working on, and it's showing. So I'm already good at that, right? Like you go up on, that's why I go up on stage with my bag of tricks. I don't need to be like, these jokes will go here and then this will go next and then this will go next. Because, hey, sometimes it's actually better if I go from my opener to my closer and then I know I got other jokes in between. Because guess what? My closer is my only closer. Every joke should technically be a friggin' closer if you're good. Once you get to that level, every damn joke should be good enough for you to open, middle, or close with. Like, let's be serious here. But what's tough to do and what is my new challenge for myself and what I've been experimenting with is like going to the deep waters, not even really relying on fully written jokes, but trusting the notes that I've written enough. And again, I think I talked about this with Dante. It's like you can't do this too much on like really good weekend paid shows and stuff, which is most of the gigs now, thankfully. But you get good enough, and then eventually it is a part of your style, and that's what I'm trying to incorporate more of. Is that raw, authentic, like introspective, real, raw comedy-ish that people are really resonating with these days. And that's what I'm the philosophical dude, bro. So I'll make things funny first because that's what we're here to do. But I would much rather say some deeper type ish. You know what I mean? And if I can just I even during both shows, both of my sets were different. And we got them recorded for sure. So I have to get that footage and maybe we'll run it back and talk about it with Dante when he gets back. But it's like I just kind of went from the hip and talked about the things that are most prevalent in my thoughts and heart recently. Just thinking about not even necessarily all the heavy-handed stuff about what's happening in the world, but just literally shooting from the hip and seeing what happens. Because sometimes my best jokes are formed out of a pure riff. And if you can get to the point where you're able to then just go from that pure riff, like creme de la creme type riff energy, to a joke that you just pull out from your bag, to an audience like interaction, let's say a heckler or whatever, let's say you spot something. Like, I've talked about this before on the show, but the greatest moment I think that has ever happened for me in comedy, and probably in my life, because it brought a lot of other stuff in life outside of comedy into perspective, is really that being in the moment thing. The first time it ever really, or at least that I can remember in my adult life, is when I was on stage telling a joke in my mind, Rolodexing the next 3 jokes that I was gonna tell, while I started to riff with an audience member, noticing another audience member doing something else, and then plotting how to get to a riff. I was doing like 7 things all at once, and I swear to you, it was like I could hear every breath, and I couldn't fully understand. Like, I knew I was in the moment, but it's hard to explain what that is, especially without the use of drugs. Maybe I was high on weed, maybe. Probably, but not enough to the point to acknowledge what was happening to me. Was a very like surreal and almost out of body experience. You don't get to be presently aware like that without a lot of work and effort. And damn, yo, like, to me, the more effort and work I put into that personally, the better I have gotten on stage. And then surrounding myself with people like Dante, like a boss, who continue to inspire me, who motivate me, who are pushing themselves, which in turn makes me want to push myself to be not better than them, but better than me. Like, jealousy is not the energy. It's not the play. Like, if you have jealous energy out there, you're nuts. Take that energy and be better. Not even better than that person, better than the version of you that thinks you need to be better than another person. Yo, I love comedy so much. And if you do too, like, come on, yo, check out the stuff we got on the show, on the channel, because this is literally what it is. Black Zeus the show out now. Black Zeus the podcast every week. We got poll questions that are interactive every week. We got the Are They Top 10 list, which got a little messy. We're going to wait till Dante gets back to actually fix that and then get it back on course. We talk about fights, mostly comedy though. And most, like, you know, that show is going to be real gangbusters. I truly believe it. Like, if you are a fan of comedy, that will be a place for you to actually get a better glimpse of what it is to be on the road, what it is to actually experience trying to, quote unquote, make it in this day and age, especially. We're bringing you behind the scenes, like backstage, off stage, just everywhere and in between, interviews and all that good stuff on Black Zeus the show. And I'm going to probably wrap up this episode here with another weekly segment we do every week here on the podcast called Poll Results. Every Monday on my Instagram social media feed, or my story feed to be exact, and on the community tab on YouTube, which I will admit I have been lax the last couple weeks. I haven't really put them up on YouTube, and I'm still, I don't know. It's hit or miss, right? But I guess I got to be consistent. So I will say, you know what? Every Monday on the community tab on YouTube and on my Instagram story feed, I put up an interactive poll question. We leave it up there for you guys to vote on, and then we discuss the results here in the studio. I don't obviously have Dante here to do the back and forth with this week, so it'll just be my opinion, which you guys get enough of, so I'll make it brief. But this week's poll question was, is it important for comedians to address social issues as part of their material? And the options were, yes, it adds depth to the material. No, comedy is light and entertaining. Depends on the comedian's style, and depends on how heavy the subject. And before we get to the results, I personally, I don't think it's important. You know what I mean? Like, the phrasing of this question for me, I don't think it's important generally. For me specifically, yes, it is important. I would rather be out there talking about quote unquote real stuff. You know what I mean? Like, at least more relatable things. That doesn't mean, like, I just released a joke the other day called Dick Guitar, where I talk about how, like, jamming on my dick like a guitar, and then how women do that with their, you know, with their fishy parts. Like, I still make the freaking goofy jokes, you know what I mean? But I have a preference. I would rather be up there connecting with people and saying something that might leave them thinking, but through the Trojan horse of comedy, because I'm not naive enough to think I'm up there. Because if I wanted to do that, I'd be a politician or whatever. Like, the whole point of it is I'm up there trying to be funny. I think I could make some points that I would like to make funny. And that is a great challenge in and of itself. And that is like an evolutionary thing, you know what I mean? But overall, I don't think you could say that it is absolutely important. But in terms of the options, I wouldn't say no, comedy is light and entertaining. I would be like, okay, it depends on the comedian's style. Like I just stated, it's definitely a preference of my style. I'd like, George Carlin is on the wall this week. Like, let's be serious. And I think he's a little, I apologize, Mr. Carlin. I think he's a little crooked, but now is it fixed? I think it's worse. R.I.P. Mr. Carlin. But those are my guys. Patrice, Carlin, those guys, the thinkers. So once again, this week's poll question was: is it important for comedians to address social issues as part of their material? The options were yes, it adds depth to the material. No, comedy is light and entertaining, depends on the comedian's style, and depends on how heavy the subject. And the results are 19% on yes, 6% on no, 75% on depends on the style, 0 for heavy on the subject. Love that got 0, because nothing should be off the table. A good comedian can take a heavy subject and make it palatable to a wide audience. A bummy comedian or someone who doesn't really have a writing style or just someone who's just trying to shock for the sake of shocking might write some offensive crap that isn't funny. But again, that's subjective also. You know, I think you got to kind of look at, is there a lot of people laughing at this or no? And that's every comedian's gauge right there. But yeah, 75% on depends on the comedian's style. Thank you to my audience for actually being savvy on comedy. I appreciate that. 19% said yes, it adds depth. But again, that's a preference. So I get it. But do you think that should be like a rule of comedy? You know? That's what I'm really interested in engaging. I wonder how many of those 19%. And then also the 6% that said no. Who are you to say no also? You know what I mean? Again, I know it's your personal preference, but who are you to say no? Nobody should be talking about serious stuff. Comedy is lighthearted and entertaining only. Comedy is a range of things. And does that contradict what I say when I speak about social media and all that? No. I just think we should be separating and categorizing these things properly. I don't think everything is comedy. I think people that get up on stage and tell jokes into a microphone to a live audience, that to me is comedy. Everything else is subcategories. Or you know what? Let's even to be fair, let's just say stand-up comedy is a subcategory also. But it is kind of the OG granddaddy, all right? So all this other stuff just seems like it's clout chasing to me, and that's why maybe I don't resonate with it that much. I don't really see the long-term value in just continuing to pump out meaningless garbage. Here's a bunch of funny videos. Now let me do the green screen thing where I'm narrating over the video. Like, are you serious? I get it. You build an audience with it. Now you got a huge audience doing that. It's just weird to me. What is that? I never got in comedy for that. You know what I mean? And that's where I always feel like I'd be betraying myself to just jump into that boat and be like, oh, but then the sake of your career and all that stuff, like just get the followers, just do what you need to do. Like that type of thinking, do what you need to do. That's what gets people put in cages. Anyways, that's this week's poll question. That's this week's podcast. Thank you to all the beautiful people that continue to subscribe, that continue to leave comments, hit likes. Thank you to all the people that have already watched the show. Once again, if you made it this far, especially, leave a comment this week and let me know who you are, because we are starting to really grow and it's only going to go up and up from here. And I'd really like to have a mental snapshot of who's been here from the beginning. Who are the original beautiful people? Go check out the Patreon if you'd like and see if you can in any way support us, get to new destinations, and show you what it's like to do comedy all around the world. Go check out the show. The free version is on YouTube right now. The full version is already available on the Patreon. But part 2 will drop next Monday. So this episode releases Wednesday. So the Monday after this podcast release will be part 2 on YouTube. So you can catch the free episodes that way. Just make sure you support us in some type of way. Because if you're a real comedy fan, you definitely are if you made it this far. You know what I mean? So do something that helps us fight Mr. Algorithm. But I'm going to stop begging. I'm just going to tell you, have a beautiful week. I appreciate you beyond words, yo. I'm so grateful for every one of you beautiful people out there. This has been Black Zeus, the podcast. Season 5, episode 42. Peace.
This is Black Zeus, the podcast, season 5.
I love y'all. Thank you for supporting. Once again, the Patreon is launched. If you do want to watch my comedy special right now, you can do so. It's only $10, and you can get it as part of the subscription fee. So, like, if you subscribe to the Patreon, you can get it that way, or you can just buy it outright for $10 that way. Once again, for transparency, I will release the comedy special for free on the YouTube once we hit 1,000 subscribers. So you can also just hit the subscriber button and just do that. You can support that way, whichever way you want to support. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all that. I don't necessarily use it the way everybody else does, but I'm there if you want to find me. AKA Black Zeus is the person to find on those platforms.